This is Old Man Yates on April 11th, 2020 at the Bridges to the Past trail. It's a National Scenic Trail just outside of West Point off of 31W. It follows the path of the old L&N Turnpike. And this is Tioga Creek behind me, and there's another trail, Tioga Falls, where a waterfall with this water drops 130 feet. And you take, the trailhead for it is at the same place as the Bridges to the Past. And I stopped here because I want to show you a giant poison ivy vine. Look at that. That's actually just a medium-sized one, but it's the best we could come up with here. It's got these hairy aerial roots. It's like this furry rope growing up the side of a tree. And all those little branches that are like, like a first grader pencil tapering out to little thin branches until you get maybe 35, 40 feet off the ground. All the branches are branches of the poison ivy. Rhus radicans in the Anacardiaceae family, the same family as cashew nut. So the fruits of the poison ivy look like little tiny curled up cashews in the little grape-like seed pod that it has. All parts of the plant have urushiol, an oily resin that can cause dermatitis. And I'll try to show you some other faces of poison ivy as we walk on through the woods here. I see it all over. Here's just a little kind of anemic specimen of a wild geranium. I'll just try to point out every little thing. This is a non-native plant called Japanese honeysuckle, or Lonicera japonica, climbing up and around this little sugar maple. This is Acer saccharum with its little Canadian flag motif leaf. The sugary sap of this is what is intercepted as it makes its yearly journey up from where it's stored the previous year in the roots up to nourish the new stems and leaves. You can intercept it. You need about 30 gallons of the watery, sugary sap to boil down to make 1 gallon of authentic maple syrup. This is Acer saccharum. You've got a lot of spice bush here. This is the close relative of sassafras in the Lauraceae family, the same family as bay leaves, which the bay leaves, you might remember, are used as a seasoning, maybe for some soup, and then you pull it out right before the soup is done. And it's got a little Japanese honeysuckle. Now this is a nice smelling flower. It's the one that you might have pulled the little female flower part through the fused corolla to get a little drop of nectar that you might have touched to your tongue. It's got a beautiful smell, but it's an introduced exotic. It's invasive. It can get everywhere you don't want it to be, and it twirls up and around our native vegetation, making it kind of difficult for it to thrive and survive. Here's a little spring ephemeral called Solomon seal. That'll have little tiny flowers coming from each place where the leaf joins the stem. This is Carpinus, or ironwood. It's got kind of a fluted nature to the trunk of it. Sometimes it's called musclewood, but Carpinus or ironwood is one of the hardest woods and was often used to make spindles in old wooden looms that would have to take a lot of wear. Here's more of our Lonicera japonica growing up on another little specimen of Acer saccharum. Now, this is a great example of the rock bottom creeks that we have here in Kentucky. Where here in Kentucky we have more running miles of stream, creek, and river than any other state in the United States other than Alaska. Here's the most common fern in Kentucky, you all. This is the Christmas fern. This is kind of a ragged looking example. This is the old last year's leaves. This is Polystichum. Let me find one that's not too deteriorated and pull one off. Dr. Mayer would say this is Santa sitting up in the back of his sleigh. That little notch is the key characteristic that you're looking at Polystichum. This is this year's, and you can still see the little fiddle head, like where the frond rolls out. It starts out all curled up, and when they're just emerging from the ground, they do look like little fiddle head structures. Oh no, come on up. Oh, you can see some Cercis canadensis, the The red bud, now is that red? No, it's more purple. It should be called the purple bud tree, but it's got little heart-shaped leaves, and maybe we'll see some better specimens. Just some long distance botany. If you look at the large tree on the other side of the creek and work your way up toward the upper branches, you can see a mottled pattern, kind of like camouflage. This is the sycamore, which can have the largest diameter of any tree that grows here in Kentucky. As we go up through here, you can just see something that might be growing in your yard. Is just a little common violet. That's Viola sororia. Oh, here's another little face of poison ivy. Just a little herbaceous plant with its 3 leaflets just barely starting to come out. Here's some that's a little bit more mature. Nothing like that big ropey monster that we saw, but this is all poison ivy with its 3 leaflet leaves. They're not really coming out very much yet. They will spread out and get larger as we go on through the springtime. Here's a lot of growing around waterways. You often have wild hydrangeas. These hydrangeas are something that you might see someone getting for a Mother's Day gift with their mounds of white or pink or blue flowers. These have white flowers. These are the wild specimens, and that's last year's inflorescence. And let's get a little closer to one of my favorite trees here in Kentucky. This is Cercis canadensis, or the red bud with its lavender flowers. Here are some little phlox, and if you look going up the hill there's more little clusters of this beautiful little spring ephemeral. There's some nice little examples of that beautiful little spring wildflower. The large trees here to the left with the very smooth bark is the beech tree. Beech trees, the way the bark pattern grows, they are going to be really smooth on the outside. When people carve their initials into them, as you'll see down here, the initials will stay for quite a long time. Mature forests here in Kentucky, we have a lot of beech and oak, and that's a really nice population of the Christmas fern that are growing in between the 2 beech trees there. As you might be able to hear, it's starting to sprinkle a little bit here, and we're just going to kind of make our way back toward our vehicle, and along the way we'll check out a few more of these nice large trees. I wonder what kind of tree that is. I don't know. I wish they had it labeled for me, but that's Acer saccharum, and it is a sugar maple tree. They at least knew enough to call it a maple. If you look over on the other side of the road, you can see another great example of the peeling bark revealing multicolored layers of the sycamore. You can botanize that from a good distance away. In fact, if you look kind of straight through that little gap right there, you can see a big sycamore. That's that light colored bark of the one that is off in distance. But with the sycamore, you can tell those from a fairly great distance. This is I know it's starting to rain a little bit, but I want to show the pawpaw tree. This is a pawpaw, and the pawpaw has these little burgundy colored flowers that are going to come out and be all over the branches of the tree even before the leaves come onto the tree. Pawpaw has a kind of a custardy like fruit that's like a misshapen, flattened out pear. They don't have a really great shelf life. This is a beautiful trillium. This is Trillium tri, meaning 3 leaflets. This is Trillium grandiflora, one of the largest of our trilliums. There's a lot of this little plant called toothwort growing out in here. This is Dentaria, little tooth-like corms beneath the ground. When they're grated and smashed up, they make a kind of a horseradishy sort of thing that can be used in cooking. This is another thing that the pioneers would have used in cooking is a wild ginger with its kind of heart-shaped, deeply notched leaf, and it's got, this one's not opened up. I've seen some bigger specimens of that were blooming. Oh, here's Jack in the Pulpit with its 3-leaflet leaf and the little male flower part down there in within the little hooded urn-like thing. And I would have loved to see some of the ginger blooming. The underground structures of the wild ginger can be graded. They're going to be more like the size maybe of a pencil. Oh, let's just to round everything out, let's look at this beautiful population of May-apples over here. This is Podophyllum. Oh, this is twin leaf or Jeffersonia. This is quite a rare little spring ephemeral. It's twin leaf. It's got the 2 leaves. It'll have kind of a white flower at a different time of the year. Growing over here amongst all of these Trillium grandiflora are May-apples. This is Podophyllum with its big umbrella-shaped leaf. When these get mature, they'll have 2 umbrella leaves, and in the notch in between is where they'll bloom. It looks like I don't see any of these that are big enough to bloom. Oh, here's one. No, I thought that was 2, but it's just, I thought it was a double. When they get big enough, they make a double and they make a little bloom. Dr. Mayer got $500 for 1 day consulting fee to go talk to the people at the Eli Lilly pharmaceutical firm up in Indiana about developing an anti-cancer agent, because the Indians of the Great Lakes region, the Native Americans of the Great Lakes, use this to rub on, preparation from this to rub on little skin cancers and things like that. They did develop an effective medicine against one of the most intractable cancers, small cell lung cancer, that uses extract from the podophyllum. Dr. Mayer helped them understand that it would grow out. They were driving down the interstate and they're like, now doesn't this plant only grow in the woods? And he's like, no, look over there on the side of the interstate, you'll see a big patch of it. And they would see it growing. He also told them about a variety of it that lives in the Himalayas that would be like shoulder high. And so he was able, he gave them their $500 worth, that's for sure. That'd be good.
Okay.